Not sure yet.
Sir, I know you're angry. And I just want to say again, I am sorry for lying to you. Abbott did not give me clearance to go on the mission, and yet I said he had. It's inexcusable. Let me know what I have to do to make it up to you, and I'll do it.
Okay.
So I've just fixed this Vestel set. This is a 32-inch Polaroid LED backlit LCD TV. It's a 2014 model. It's about 16, 17 odd months old, and it failed, obviously, because it's a Vestel and they're not built to last. What went wrong with it was there was a shorted diode and a shorted MOSFET on the power supply secondary side for the boost converter LED stage. And I replaced both of those. Initially, I replaced the MOSFET on the TV with a 30 volt device because that's what was in the schematic. After blowing up two MOSFETs, I decided to check carefully again about what MOSFET I should actually use, and I realised that this 30 volt MOSFET was being used on a 55-60 volt circuit, which is obviously not going to work very well. What it turned out Vestel had actually done is they put a 30 volt MOSFET on the schematic, and then later on in the production run figured that it actually wouldn't work and replace it with a 60 volt device. But they didn't update the schematic, of course. So after blowing up two MOSFETs, I found a MOSFET on a scrap board from a Sharp inverter. It's 80 volt rated. It's a very good MOSFET. It's through-hole type, but the board had space for through-hole and surface mount ones. So I put that in, and the set works now, as you can see. But, yeah, I mean, the picture quality is... it's actually the worst TV I've ever seen. So one of the benefits of having LED TV is over a plasma or LCD TV. Well, this is an LCD TV. One of the benefits of having an LED backlit LCD TV is that it's supposed to be brighter. No, it's not. In fact, it's probably one of the dimmest TVs I've ever seen. It's dimmer than most of the modern energy-saving plasmas when they're on their minimum energy mode. Yeah, I mean, it's just so dim. It's obviously not going to be easy to capture this in the video, but it looks like shit. But not only is it really dim, the contrast ratio is terrible. It must have a contrast ratio of less than 100:1, in my opinion. Because, yeah, you've got these bright sections here, but the dark sections here, they're so grey. I mean, LCDs, yeah, they're not great for contrast ratio, but I've seen some decent examples. This thing is... Well, I suppose it's a case of you get what you pay for. You spend 160 quid on a cheap TV, it's going to last about 16 months, and it's going to have a shit picture quality while it lasts. So, you're essentially renting a TV for 10 quid a month that doesn't even look good. But, you know, you try and tell people this and they just don't listen to you. You try and convince them that it's a pile of shit and not to buy it and spend maybe £250 or something on something like a Panasonic or a Samsung. Well, no, actually not on a Samsung, or an LG or a Sharp or something. Although, also be careful not to get one of the rebadged ones, because, you know, Panasonic are now rebadging Vestel junk, so... yeah, you got to be very careful what you buy nowadays, because you may well just be buying a Polaroid under a different name. And I suppose these TVs are okay for people like having them in camper vans or something and just want a TV for as cheap as possible and they don't really give a shit if it dies or not. I mean, it's not great for heat waste, but, you know, if they just want a TV, at least they know they're buying a pile of shit. But when you rebadge one of these cheap sets, you know, it's dishonest in my opinion, because you're essentially hiding the fact that you're just rebadging a set. I mean, it's obvious if you just look at the RIP panel of these TVs. You see they're all made with Vestel, Toshiba, Sharp, Panasonic, Sanyo, JVC, Hitachi. They all rebadge Vestels nowadays. I mean, most of them, Hitachi and Sanyo have left the TV business. Sanyo was bought up by Panasonic, and I kind of hope what Sanyo would become was sort of like a cheap Panasonic. But no, Panasonic basically just turned it into Vestel clones again. And they've only done the same with their real Panasonic brand, so, you know, fuck Panasonic. You know, I used to think Panasonic were a good company with reasonable ethics and could develop some quality products, but no, fuck them for doing that. They've now been removed from my list of recommended brands, so pretty much it only has LG on there, and I don't really even like LG that much. I think LG are, like, okay, but... they're still not great. I mean, they've got a few common issues. I don't like their choice of Samyang capacitors. Sometimes I think the designs are just under-designed. I mean, I think the user interfaces on LG sets are absolutely excellent. I think the picture quality is pretty good too, for an LCD at least. But, yeah, I mean, they're only a mild recommendation. So, anyway, I'm ranting here, but yeah, this part of the shit is now working, so... Time to sell it. I got it for free, so I'm not really complaining. I mean, it's probably the newest TV I've ever fixed, I think, now. I got that Samsung over there. That's a little newer, and that only has a grand total of, I think, 6 hours of use on it when I got it. It's obviously from store return or something. Actually, that's a good point. How many hours does this TV have? So to do that, you can just go menu, bring up the menu and type 4725. So, what's the time? I hope you can see that there. 97,576 minutes usage. So, what is that then? 97,000 minutes. Well, 60 minutes an hour, so that's about 1,500 hours. Yeah, 1,500 hours. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to leave the video at that, because that's just, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not quite as bad as that Samsung, but that's what's called a bathtub failure there, you know. Bathtub curve is where things fail very early on, so I mean, that's kind of, you could kind of see that as not really being a design fault or shit design or anything, just because it was one of the early failures. You get the all types of devices, but I mean, this thing's obviously got past its bathtub curve and then just entered the other end of it, which is the wear out failure, and that's just ridiculous. I mean, 1,500 hours, what the fuck? You know, it keeps me in a job as such. I mean, can I complain so much that these TVs are pieces of shit? Yeah, I can still complain, even though I'm fixing them, and if they were built well, I wouldn't have one to sell, but still, I'm just gonna leave it on that there.